Christmas time upon us, and it's time to get those lovely sort of smells in the house. Now what we're going to be making up today is some mulled wine. As soon as you make up mulled wine, you've got the beautiful aromas, and when you taste it, it just tastes Christmassy. It's absolutely delicious. Happy Christmas. Now to make up this mulled wine, I just want to quickly run you through the ingredients we're going to use. Now first of all, I've got 2 bottles of wine. I've got a red wine. What I would say is try and make sure you get wine that you'd like to drink, because don't just put all your horrible wine in there. You know, maybe top it up later if you need to, but try and use 2 bottles of good red wine. Then I've got the fruit, the nice fresh fruit. Now I'm going to use 3 oranges and 2 lemons. Now what I would say is, one of the oranges I'm going to leave it whole, and I'm going to stick all those sort of, you know, cloves in there, so poke those in the skin. And 2 of the oranges and 2 of the lemons, I'm just going to slice them down. I'll probably slice the oranges into 8, so 8 pieces, and the lemons I'll cut them into quarters, so 4 pieces. Then I've got the sort of spices. Now what I'm going to be using is a good piece of ginger. Now there's 2 things you can do with that. First of all, you can either slice it if you're really lazy and just put that in the pot and it will still taste good. Otherwise peel it, and then what you want to do is grate it nice and fine and add that in, and that will make a nice gingery flavour in there. Then I've got some cloves. Now with these cloves, I'm actually going to poke them in one of the oranges that I'm going to leave whole. So poke those in so we can keep an eye on them. We don't want, you know, too many things floating around. Cardamom pods. Now I've got 5 cardamom pods there. Now what you want to do is just sort of gently squeeze them so you almost like open them. And that just allows some of the flavours to come out without too many of the sort of seeds coming out. So I've got 5 cardamom pods. Fresh nutmeg. Now you can use powdered sort of ground nutmeg, but I find fresh is much better. Just sort of grate it, you know, just a little bit in there. It just really adds a lovely sort of Christmassy flavour to it. Then I've got some cinnamon, a stick of cinnamon. Again, if you know, with any of these ingredients, if you haven't got them as a sort of whole piece, like a whole stick of cinnamon, then you can use the ground cinnamon. Just add a little bit, taste it up, and make sure it's how you want it. So there's all the sort of spices. Then we've got some sugar. Now any sugar, it can be white sugar or sort of brown sugar. I'm going to use 100 grams to start with. See how it goes, get it sort of cooking, and if you need to add a little bit extra, I might just add a little spoonful of honey, you know, just to sweeten it up a little bit more, but obviously do that all to taste. Then I've got some water. Now I've got sort of 1 UK pint of water, but you know, just a jug of water, put that in at the same time. Then we've got the liqueur. You don't have to add that, it's entirely up to you. Now I actually looked for Gran Marnier because I really like that one, but I couldn't find it in the small bottles and I didn't want to pay £25 for a big bottle. So I actually got Cointreau, just to kind of remind me, a little bit orangey flavour, and it is really nice in there. Otherwise you could use like a cherry brandy or something sort of fruity that you could add, you know, in the mix if you want to. But what I would say is, you know, give it a go with whatever you've got. Try and follow the sort of recipe I've got, and it should taste really Christmassy and delicious. So now I've gone through the ingredients, what we can do is just get everything prepared, and we're going to go over to the hob, get ourselves a decent sized pot and make up this beautiful mulled wine. So I've got all the ingredients laid out, and we've got ourselves a pot, and what we're going to do is just start adding all the ingredients. First of all, we're going to add the sugar. Then we can add the water, just cold water. So about 1 pint of that as a rough guide. Got the fruit. I've chopped up the lemons and oranges, and then we've got this orange with all the cloves stuck in. Then we've got that sort of ginger. Now I've actually sort of grated that so it's really fine. There's probably a good couple teaspoons full of that, so put that in. Fresh ginger. Obviously if you haven't got fresh ginger, just use, you know, ground ginger, whatever you've got. Then I've got these cardamom pods. Now what you want to do is just give them a quick kind of squash almost, just to split them a little bit, but not quite open them, because you don't want the seeds to come out. So just kind of roll them around your finger quite hard, and that just sort of helps. It doesn't, you know, matter if you get the odd seed out. Then we've got 1 stick of cinnamon. Then I've got some nutmeg. Now I'm going to use fresh nutmeg. Obviously if you haven't got fresh, just use normal, you know, the sort of ground one, but I find fresh nutmeg is really nice. Don't go overboard, just a little bit, because it is quite strong flavoured, but it's really Christmassy. Then I've got my red wine. Now, as I say, try and use a nice red wine. Now I'm going to use 2 bowls, and I'm just going to fill this up. Look at that. That's why you need the good sized pan, just to sort of fit the whole lot in really. Now the last thing I'm going to add is a little bit of this Cointreau. Just put a little bit of that in, sprinkle it around. And you can always taste it once it's been cooked up for about 20 minutes, and add a little bit more if you need to. So now I've got all the ingredients in the pot, really simple because you put the whole lot in all at once. Now what we're going to do is switch the heat on, bring it up to a simmer. Once it comes to a simmer, then you want to cook for about 20 to 30 minutes. But the important thing about this dish is to actually cook it very, very slow. So, you know, just a little bubbling away. Don't boil it, because all you do is boil all the sort of alcohol away. So I've got my mixture, and I've been cooking mine for about 10 minutes. And it's just starting to come up to a simmer. Then what you want to do is carry on simmering this, fairly low heat, really nice and low, for about 20 to 30 minutes, and just give it the very occasional stir. Just going to turn mine down a little bit, just so it cooks a little bit slower, because you want it just below a simmer really, nice and slow. So we've got the mulled wine, and it's been cooking away for a total of 30 minutes. The first 10 minutes we just brought it up to a simmer, give it the occasional stir just to kind of dissolve all the sugar, and then carried on cooking for about another 20 minutes on a very low simmer. Then what we're going to do is just give it a stir up, make sure it's all nicely mixed up, and look at that, that fruit is looking delicious. Oh, beautiful. So all those flavours have really kind of infused, gone together. Then what we want to do is just taste it, just to make sure first of all it's got the right amount of sweetness. Right, I'm just going to taste it to see how the sugar is. Just try some of that. Oh, really nice and Christmassy. I think it just needs, for my taste, a little bit more sugar. Now, rather than adding sugar in, I'm going to add a little bit of honey. Now, I'm just going to grab me honey, because I just want to sweeten this up a little bit more. I'm just going to put a dollop in really, maybe a dollop and a bit. It's Christmas. Oh yeah. Mix that up, give it another taste. So now we've got the honey in there. Again, just always mix it up so we get a really good judge of how it tastes. At the moment we're just tasting for the sweetness. So again, I washed this spoon already, and let's just try it. In fact, maybe for my taste, just a dash more. Just a dash. Now I'm also going to add a little bit more of that Cointreau, that really nice orangey liqueur. Now I'm just going to sprinkle a little bit of that in there. I'm just going to add, I'll say a couple of dessert spoons of that in really. Get a good amount in because it is really quite nice, very orangey. And it's not too orangey already, so give it a good mix. And let's just give it a quick taste again. I mean, the important thing about this is make sure when you taste it, you like it. Because if you like it, I'm sure other people will. So make sure you play about with it and get it just how you want it. So now we've got it all in there, I'm just going to quickly try that. Oh, that is really delicious. Absolutely lovely. I mean, as I say, when you've made it up, make it to how you like it, get the flavours you like, and you know, even if you've used a little bit and whatever, you can always add a little bit more water or a little bit more wine and a little bit more fruit, and you can kind of continue it. So if you've got some sudden guests that turned up, just put some more in the pot. Just put it on the simmer, warm it up a little bit, be delicious. So I've got my mulled wine and I'm just going to put it on the table really. Now it's probably a little bit warmer than it should be for serving it up. But you want to serve it just a little bit warm. But you know, maybe if you're somewhere really cold, it's lovely to have it lovely and warm. So let's just try some of that. Give it a final stir around. Oh, it smells so good. Now, try not to get the cardamom pods in there. So, tricky, but that's it. Just going to pour some in this glass. Just a little bit more. That's good. Let me just show you this. Ooh, that smells like Christmas. Oh, absolutely yummy. Oh, that is really absolutely delicious. This is just absolutely Christmassy, and the smells, oh, smells so good. So get your kitchen door open, let them all smell it, and it'll be absolutely delicious. Christmas in a pot. Thanks for watching. Happy Christmas. The original Naked Chef.